For those who don't know, Safe Harbor is a small nonprofit that builds upon the power of multidisciplinary teams to coordinate the investigative response to allegations of child abuse in a child-friendly setting where the needs of the child are the primary concern. Within this single setting, the combined resources and expertise of Child Protective Services, law enforcement, prosecutors, victim advocates, forensic interviewers, mental health, and medical professionals are brought to bear to limit any additional trauma to the child and their non-offending caregivers, while also assuring a high quality and competent intervention, which leads to accountability for offenders and hope and healing for children. Child advocacy centers, known as CACs, are multidisciplinary teams, and their multidisciplinary teams are critical to healthy and safe communities. Communities with CACs have a far higher conviction rate for CAC cases that are carried forward in prosecution. And communities with CACs also ensure that child victims of sexual abuse are 4 times more likely to receive medical care and increased referrals for mental health treatment than children served by non-CAC communities. Since its opening in 2008, Safe Harbor has served more than 3,400 children, our community's children, giving them a voice and placing them on a path to healing and justice. We rely on philanthropy to deliver our mission and are fortunate to operate in a region that is extremely supportive of our work.
It's a very simple event, but it gives you, we talk about these numbers, and it gives you really a feel for how big it is.
Yes. And when you think about those, I think I said it was 30,000 reports in all of Virginia, we narrow that number down to the jurisdictions that we serve. And so we read the names of this year it'll be over 10,000 kids who were included in those reports, those same type of reports. So our number this year I think is 10,090. So that represents the fiscal year of 2021. The number of reports that came through Child Protective Services for 11 jurisdictions that we provide services to. So we have our 6 jurisdictions that we have a formal partnership with, but we also provide some what we call courtesy services to other jurisdictions. So those are included in that number. So 10,090 names. And of course, we can't read the actual names of children. We would never do that. And so the name Jane Doe is read in place of female victims and John Doe in the place of male victims. And so we're reading Jane Doe, John Doe, and their ages for approximately 9.5 to 10 hours straight.
Right. Jane Doe, age 6. John Doe, 3. Jane Doe, 5. Jane Doe, 8. John Doe, 10. Jane Doe, 13.
John Doe, 6. Jane Doe, 6. Jane Doe, 13. Jane Doe, 16. John Doe, 11. John Doe, 8. Jane Doe, 15.
John Doe, 7. Jane Doe, 5. Jane Doe, 10. Jane Doe, 14. John Doe, 2. Jane Doe, 12. Jane Doe, 13. John Doe, 5. Jane Doe, 13.
John Doe, 17. Jane Doe, 6. John Doe, 4. Jane Doe, 10. Jane Doe, 7. Jane Doe, 13. John Doe, 8. Jane Doe, 7. Jane Doe, 3. Jane Doe, 12. John Doe, 3. Jane Doe, 11. John Doe, 7.
John Doe, 3. Jane Doe, 15. Jane Doe, 12. Jane Doe, 6. Jane Doe, 16. John Doe, 8. John Doe, 10.